pain points of the audiences that he may reach out to in the US is really important. And in general, with every brand that goes through a rebrand, I think that's something that is important. Another thing is brand loyalty and what do people remember? How can we improve on our current brand and provide something that's in line with our vision for the future? And will this impact familiarity? I think that's going to be a big thing because X is such a far departure from the original Twitter that's basically become an institution in society, that if we were to switch all the way out to X and say not use the word tweet anymore, not allow for retweets, the whole platform changes, is that really something that consumers want? And understanding what your consumers want and thinking about what are the feelings and sort of connectivity that we want to incite in our users and customers is really important when factoring in a rebrand.
So, building on that then, what do you think can go wrong with a rebranding exercise? You know, how deep can the effects of a bad rebranding go, and who suffers from bad rebranding? And do you think, I'm asking a whole bunch of questions here, do you think X are kind of exempt in a way because they do have a strong user base already?
So there are a number of things that can go wrong with rebrand. And the main thing is people aren't as open to change as they'd like to be.
Right.
That can just hurt a lot. People like things the way they are. And it takes time in order to get them used to looking at like a new logo or using a different platform. And another thing that can go wrong with rebranding is that people don't recognize the brand anymore. Kia, for example, the car brand, when they rebranded, their font now echoes their mission to look like a key player in the EV industry. It looks very modern, very sleek, but because of the font they chose and the way that they've designed that specific font, a lot of people then wondered, what is this new KN car that had come out? Because the letters don't look like KIA anymore. It looks like KN, and you have to really look at it in order to see the KIA. And so small mistakes like this can create an effect where people don't recognize your brand as easily. And in certain cases where really poor rebranding is had, customers are lost, users are lost, and you can even see this through the slight rebrand that Twitter underwent after Musk took over. So a lot of people will think, oh, it's rebranding means like a complete overhaul of logo, font type, colors and everything. But the
credit cards and debit cards were very difficult to get, and everybody had a bank account. Everybody had a mobile phone, so it was very easy for people to use their WeChat as their banking app and as everything else. So it worked back then. However, when you try to do that in the US, where most people have a bank account, where most people have a credit card, it's a very difficult and very difficult argument to hold that. Now, I'm no expert on this, but I wanted to speak to somebody about rebranding, and I did manage to get hold of Anna Lloyd. She's the co-founder and director of content and digital marketing over at Good and Honest Co, of course. I've just mentioned that. So I'm going to have a bit of a chat with her here. I spoke with her yesterday, but here is part of that interview. When we come back, we'll have another part. So stick with us, have a listen, and if you want to get in touch with us about this whole rebranding thing, you can get us via our U-Mobile WhatsApp number. It's 018-789-8899. You can get us on Twitter or X at BFM Radio. Of course, here's part of my chat with Anna here on BFM. So I'm on the line with Anna Lloyd. She is the co-founder and marketing specialist from the Good and Honest Co. Anna, thank you very much for joining me this morning. How are you?
Doing great, Richard. Thanks so much for having me on.
It's a pleasure. It's been a long while since I've spoken to you as well. And of course, what we are talking about is Twitter rebranding to X under the quote-unquote guidance of Elon Musk. Now, they've obviously come under a lot of scrutiny since this rebrand. Why do you think it's been taken so negatively?
Well, I think there are a number of factors that have gone into the scrutiny that's been directed at Twitter, or X as it's now known. I think the biggest part of it is that the move has seemed rather rushed. We saw a rollout of the new logo on Musk's profile and the platform, only for him to change it a couple of hours later because he didn't love the look of the initial logo. He said he didn't like the thickness of the lines and preferred the thinner ones, which seems a bit haphazard when you're rolling out a rebrand for such a well-known platform that has millions of users.
Yeah.
And well, it's understandable that we've been privy to this development because it's been somewhat crowdsourced. The development of X's logo, it's just come across a bit messy. And for example, if you were to go to the Twitter platform today, the website, if you type in twitter.com, it still shows up. It redirects you to a page that has the X logo, and then says sign into Twitter, which seems like a small but rather large mistake at the same time. And on profiles that have updated to X, their profile still shows tweets and retweets. So that word tweet is very connected to
the brand.
The brand really started when Musk took over. The way he was positioning stuff on the platform, the way he was selling blue ticks, Twitter Blue.
Yeah.
All of that stuff lost them users, lost them advertisers. I heard that they lost about 50% of their advertisers and a lot of users through that rebrand, and well, through the initial stages of that rebrand. And it just causes a brand to lose trustability among its audiences.
Due to confusion, mainly.
Yeah, definitely. And so I don't think X is exempted from this at all. I read an article by Dave Lee for Bloomberg Opinion and he wrote a very scathing article about the Twitter rebrand and mentioned that while X is a globally recognized icon for making things go away, and it's not necessarily the positioning you want for a platform or a tool that invites people to join. You know?
Yeah. You're supposed to have a sense of community and not be shooed away.
Yeah.
Right. Although some might argue that X marks a spot, but at this point, I don't think that seems right, doesn't it?
Ironically, his article is titled "X misses the spot."
That seems perfect, right?
Yeah.
Is your company making strides in diversity, equity, and inclusion? Let everyone know at the Life at Work Awards by Talent Corp. Bring your company to greater heights, attract top talents, and be recognized as a leader in the industry. This is not your average award show. It's a celebration of diversity, equity, and inclusion at the workplace. Final call for submissions. Closing date 31st August. Send us your entry and achievements at www.lifeatwork.my.
It's done. What should we call it?
A website that lists life insurance policies.
How about lifeinsurance.com.my?
It helps you compare and find the cheapest life insurance.
Lifeinsurance.com.my?
Plus, learn more about life insurance. I've got it! Lifeinsurance.com.my!
That's what I said.
What?
I said lifeinsurance.com.my.
Oh, it's good. Let's do it. What was the website again?
Here is what you missed on the morning run.
Do you know the famous bluebird on Twitter has a name?
Yes! I can answer this.
There we go.
Have me on your team, on your trivia quiz team. But yes, tell us more about the name.
Larry, the bluebird, has flown the nest, I guess you could say. Yeah. No, I want to think that he's gone up somewhere.
To a better place.
You never know what's in store tomorrow. The morning run, weekdays 6 to 10 a.m. Bring forth Moolah, BFM 89.9.
Someday
update to X, what are we supposed to call these posts now? Are they going to be called X's, re-X's? Like, that sounds more like a bad dating profile than a reputable social media platform.
From what I understand as well, it's also causing problems in Indonesia as well. Obviously, they've kind of turned around and said we don't want anything associated with X because it has negative connotations in the video content it could possibly be hosting.
Yeah. I asked around, like, I asked my friends what they thought about this. I've asked my partner, who's a sociologist, about this as well. And one of the big things that seems to be cropping up all over the place is that X sort of looks like an adult video site.
Yeah.
Which is not a good look, especially if you're trying to make Twitter or X like a platform that's accessible to people of all ages.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we understand that the end goal of this is, you know, Musk has this idea of he wants to create like this super app, and whatever X is or former Twitter is to be rolled into that. Or this is kind of the crucible, if you like, of the birth of that app. Where do you think then he's heading towards with this rebranding?
So with the rebrand, like, he has mentioned that he wants X to be a super app like China's WeChat,
Yeah.
and similar to Grab that we have in Southeast Asia. I can understand the virtues behind wanting to do that, and that it is a good move because there's not an app that functions so closely to WeChat and Grab in the US. But I also think that going along with this requires the trust from your user base, from your audiences, in order to park everything in one house. And I don't know that he exactly has that trust just yet.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I'm a little doubtful. You know, that they've had software issues, they've had back-end issues, and I mean, if this is going to become like a financial app, which is one of the things I know he's pushing towards,
Yeah.
It's not striking me as something that I see as being solid just yet. And that's one of my concerns. I'm sure other people have many other concerns. But when we look at a rebranding exercise normally like this, and I say normally because Elon Musk never does anything normally, you know, what sort of resources would go into like rebranding a company, and how deep does something like this go? It's not just a matter of changing the name of the logo, is it?
I think if you're going into rebranding, you have to think about your motives behind the rebrand. Are you doing it just purely for aesthetics? Are you doing it because you just want to be different than other people, or are you doing it actually for the people who are using your platform? Understanding pain points of users that are currently
rebranding. When do you think it's absolutely necessary for a business? And do you think that maybe because of some of the backlash that he's had by becoming the CEO of Twitter / X, that, you know, he decided to do something like this, something this drastic, and saying, look, okay, right, yes, I understand I've had a bad start. Do you think that this is the kind of response to that?
I do, and I think something that I've thought very strongly about this rebrand is that it is reactionary.
Yeah.
He's doing this in response to things that he seems to have lost control of.
Yeah.
Rebranding, I think, is a necessary practice in order to grow with your audiences, but when you're changing your brand just because it seems like you've gotten a lot of flack from others about what you've done with a specific platform, is the solution really to just change a logo and say, oh, I have all of these big plans, instead of solving the issues that have come up since the takeover? I don't think that is necessarily a good way to go as far as rebranding goes.
So when do you think it is necessary for a rebranding exercise?
So like I mentioned earlier, rebranding is necessary for growth with audiences. You see new trends coming up, and this is particularly important in fashion industries. You'll see a lot of fashion brands have chosen more minimalist logos, something that simply states their name without being too over the top and flashy.
Yeah.
I think getting into the trends and audiences is really important for your brand to keep up with that. And it's also really important when you're highlighting like new vision and mission. So coming back to Kia, with the move into the EV industry, they've come up with problems with, I can
token of one of crypto's top decentralized exchanges has tumbled by 15% after the platform said it had been exploited as a result of a vulnerability in a programming language. And the Bank of Japan has appointed Kazuhiro Masaki as the new head of its Monetary Affairs Department that oversees the drafting of central bank policy. In markets, the FMTLCI is up 0.3% at 1,455 points. Active stocks include Hong Seng Consolidated, Sarawak Consolidated, and K&M Group. Gainers are led by Allianz, Malaysian Pacific Industries, and Carlsberg. And decliners are Petronas Dagangan, Garuda, and Paragon Union. Meanwhile, regional markets are mostly positive. Singapore's STI fell 0.1%, while South Korea's Kospi is 0.7% higher. I'm Danya Nair. For more headlines, follow BFM News on Twitter. We are now up to date on BFM 89.9, the business station.
Enterprise on BFM 89.9.
This is Enterprise Bizwise. I'm Rich Bradbury. Arguably, something more iconic than Sesame Street's Good Bird is Twitter's Bluebird. But just a few days ago, the tech mogul and owner of the app, Elon Musk, decided to erase what analysts believe to be between $4 and $20 billion in brand value when he rebranded Twitter to X. So it's no insignificant thing, as this brand has a big impact outside of the app. You know, tweeting was added to the Collins Dictionary and into the Merriam-Webster Dictionary. That and retweeting is regularly used in daily lingo. And sheeting just isn't obviously hitting as good. Here's a quote: X will require the company to rebuild that cultural pull and linguistic consensus from scratch, but that may be part of the motivation, so users stop comparing Twitter post-takeover to what it was before. And here's another quote: it's an exceptionally rare thing in life or in business that you get a second chance to make another big impression. This is from the new CEO of X/Twitter, Linda Yaccarino. Now, the company says that this is a bid to expand the platform to, quote, center in audio, video, messaging, payments, banking, turning it into a super app. But with significant reactions from all sides to a significant change, we'll be speaking with Anna Loy in just a few moments. She's the co-founder and director of content and digital marketing agency Good Honest Co. In the, I'll have her on the line in a few minutes. Now, here's the thing about super apps and why WeChat was so big and has so much pull over in China. It was created at a time where many of the people over in China were unbanked. And
recording complete.
The Good and Honest Co. had a whole bunch of questions for Anna, of course, and I've still got more, and I did manage to sit down with her and have a bit of a chat with her, of course, and this is me catching up with part 2 of that discussion with Anna here on BFM 89.9. Now, on the flip side of thing then, what do you think makes for a good rebranding exercise?
So I think we can take lessons from the Twitter rebrand, and one thing that we can really learn from this is that clarity is key.
Yeah.
With the move over to X and with the series of rather cryptic corporate speak tweets that the CEO released on Twitter, or X. See, even now it's very hard for me to remember that it's called X. But clarity is key. If you want to maintain your users and keep up the trustability of the brand, your brand should encompass your brand's positioning through visuals and rhetoric. Like, we need to clearly know where this is going. We need to understand what the motive behind the rebrand is, apart from it just being like a visual thing. With the move to WeChat, honestly, I don't think that that's a bad move, like trying to create a platform that functions similarly to WeChat but in the US. But I also think it involves a lot of research beforehand. Do your users want this?
Right.
If you have a fashion brand or a skincare brand or a lifestyle brand, what do your consumers, what do your customers want? Yeah. Another thing that makes for good rebranding is maintaining that familiarity. So your logo, while refreshed, or your contact, while refreshed, still need to contain part of the original brand, something that people can still relate to. McDonald's, for example, the change to the golden arches, like the minimalist golden arches logo that you see now, has come from an an old black and white diner sign that said McDonald's hamburgers and fries. And shakes, I think it used to list on that, which is a lot to put in one logo.
Yeah.
But the change to the logo that we know now has taken decades.
Yeah.
And each time they've just changed a little bit at a time in order to still ensure their customers that, listen, our quality is the same. You know, when you get new packages on food and stuff, they say same great taste, new look. That's sort of what people want to know, that they can trust this brand, that they're familiar with the brand, but it looks kind of cooler than what it looked before.
Yeah, I mean, this whole thing just seems like he kind of wants to bomb Twitter from a great distance, and you know, and start afresh with it, you know. And I think it seems to me as an observer that it's having the opposite effect of what he's trying to achieve.
I agree.
Right. When we talk about